So this one's a bit of an enigma on how to describe what to call it exactly outside of Irish whiskey, but it tastes good. So welcome to Whiskey Catapult, where we catapult around the world trying whiskeys from all over the world. Nice little screw top. So today we are catapulting over to Ireland for Writer's Tears single cask Marsala wine finish. So I say it's a bit of an enigma because as I was kind of looking into what this classifies as, it's kind of tough. So, real quick, this is 45%. It is finished. It's marked as a rare Writer's Tears single cask Irish whiskey. Cask type is Marsala Hogshead. It was finished in this for about 12 months, and it is cask number 3317. It is bottle 462 of 894. So normally Irish whiskey, there's some kind of define for it, whether it's, single pot still, which is malted and unmalted barley. There's single malt, just like Scotch, where it's 100% malted barley. This one's, I don't know if it really qualifies as a blend, but it's basically a combination of single malt and single pot still. So I don't know if this one matches the same ratio. It'd be weird if it didn't. But their core release is 60% single malt and 40% single pot still. I'd imagine this was the same, but it's also single cask. But it does say that it's a blend of those two. So they blend them together, put it into a cask. I'm assuming the Marsala cask, age it and finish it in that, and then bottle it and release it. So something like that. Like I said, it's a bit of an enigma, but it's Irish whiskey. That's, the ultimate thing. So, mm. So what I really like about Writer's Tears, if it really leans into that butterscotch note. So their core release is very butterscotchy, more so than like a Jameson or a Powers. It just really takes that from like a 6 to a 10. So if you're like butterscotch, you'd be a fan of Writer's Tears. It's a very sweet nose. Still has some of that butterscotch in there. It's got some dark fruits. Almost kind of like a waxy note in there. Not really sure how else to describe it because it's not creamy, but it's still kind of that like kind of like honeycomb wax. It's kind of what I'm getting reminded of. But let's see. Yep. Still nice and sweet. Still has that butterscotch coming through on it. Some of that dark fruit kind of creeping up there in the bit. Yep. It's got that waxy kind of mouthfeel in there. Light spice. And then a little bit of berry. Like raspberry, blackberry almost. Just really, really faint at the end. It's pretty good. So I've had this one for a little while now. As you can see, it's getting on its last leg here. I'll be working on finishing this one off. But, okay. Finish lingers a little bit. It's more of the waxy, kind of dark fruit note that lingers the most. Almost gets just a little bit bitter at the end. Not much, but just a tad. So this one on the back states that it's natural, non-chill filtered, and bottled at 45%. Finished in Marsala Hogshead for 12 months, like I said. And it's a marriage of single pot still and single malt Irish whiskey. So, yeah, it's still got that, I guess, blend in there. I would imagine that would be called a blend, but I guess Irish whiskey rules are a little bit different. But, yeah, they call it their copper pot Irish whiskey. Florio Marsala Casks, to be specific. I don't know that much about wine, to be perfectly honest. But funny enough, a couple days ago, if you've ever watched Eric Waite Whiskey Studies on YouTube, he's a wine sommelier. And a couple days ago, he actually did a review of an Ardbeg Dulce that is finished in Marsala Cask. And he spends half the video talking about Marsala wine, Marsala Cask, and all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in that, check that out. I'm not going to steal his stuff. I'm just going to recommend it to him because that's a lot more in depth than I would want to get into for something like this. But it is a nice whiskey. Like I said, I've had their regular release for Riders Tears. It's pretty solid, very, very butterscotchy, pretty good for the price. Yep. Sweet, butterscotch, dark fruit just kind of waves in and out a little bit there at the very bottom. Still kind of has that waxiness in there. Yeah, this one's fun. Yeah, so I think I've had a couple different Riders Tears. Excuse me. Cast finish versions. And they've all been really good, and that was the main reason I picked this one up. I have add a little bit of water to this. I've got a ice wine cast finish Riders Tears that I actually have like I think 2 extra bottles of. Really amazing stuff. If you ever see that one, and I've seen them do multiple batches, so it should still be available. Definitely grab one of those. I think I paid like 120 for that one. Seems a little hefty, but it's really good. And then I've had a Mizunara Oak one, which was also really interesting. My friend owns that one, so I didn't buy that one. This one I bought from, I believe, Total Wine, and I got it for about 80 bucks, 80, 85 bucks. So pretty good deal. Irish whiskey has gotten more expensive since then. I don't know if that's just from tariffs or production costs, whatever the case may be. So if you were to see this again today, it might be a little bit more expensive, maybe in like the 90 to 100 range. But if you've never had Marsala cast finish whiskey before, I think this one's not a bad one to kind of jump into that and kind of see like what it can do, because you can get the regular Riders Tears to do a comparison of, okay, how does this affect the core range of what their release is, and kind of, see if it's something you like. I believe that Redbreast has also just recently released a Marsala Cast one. It's in a blue box. I've had it pretty recently. I was at a whiskey group just last week, and someone ended up bringing it, and it's pretty good too. I'm probably going to end up buying a bottle of that one later on, but that one's, depending on your market, I've seen that one for like 110 at Total Wine, and I've seen it for like 130 at some smaller shops. So just kind of depends. 130 was a little bit tough for me. I don't know if I could, jump in on that one. But 110, yeah, I'd pick it up for that for sure. All right, a little bit of water. Dark fruit comes through a little bit more now. Butterscotch kind of calms down a bit. So that's nice. But still very sweet, still has that waxy note. So it doesn't change too much, it just rebalances a little bit, which I think is a good thing. Waxiness is much more forward this time. It's like a texture, but it's also very silky. Those might be contradictory, but that's what I'm getting. Yep. Butterscotch is still good. Dark fruits come through a little bit more. That wood spice pops up more too now, actually. Yeah. So, don't get the berry anymore. No. Berry kind of got pushed out of the way. But dark fruit and light spice on there. Okay. Wow. That really helps the finish out. That's the butterscotch comes through on the finish more. The dark fruit more. It still kind of has that waxy quality. There's still a little bit of that bitterness in there at the very, very end, but it's not as prominent as it was. So I think adding water to this actually helped it out a bit. That's not to say that that's a bad thing per se. It's only 45%, so. But water really helps the finish there. So this is sourced. Currently, I believe they're working on building a distillery to do their own stuff. But from what I've been able to gather, they source their stuff from Middleton and Cooley, so makers of Jameson and Cooley Irish whiskey. So it doesn't say like which one they get it from, how much of it, whatever. That's just kind of where it comes from. But they blend together, so they're sourcing their stuff, but they're sourcing pretty good stuff. Not gonna lie. So yeah, if you're able to find this one, I'd recommend it. It's kind of fun if you like different wine cask finishes. I don't know if I have another one in comparison because it's different than sherry. I don't know enough about different wine casks, unfortunately, for a different one. But like I said, I've seen their other cask finishes around pretty regularly. If you can't get this one, Redbreast has another one that kind of has a similar profile. This one, obviously, being more Rider Sears profile, is more butterscotchy. And the Redbreast one being, I believe it's pure single pot still. So malted, unmalted barley on that one. So if you can't find that one, the Redbreast one's a good alternative. But yeah, this one's good. This one was a fun pickup. So I recommend it, especially for the price for what I got at the time. I wouldn't pay more than $100 for it personally. But if I saw it again for like 80, I'd probably snag another one again. It's very interesting. So yeah. If you enjoyed this review, hit that like button and subscribe to see where we catapult off to next. Cheers.